Hello, hello, hello. My name is Audie Ratliff. I'm the owner of Ratliff Mandolins, and I would like to welcome you to part 18 in our Building a Custom Mandolin series, in which we are building an ornate, heavily inlaid mandolin for a customer in Europe. We have the mandolin proper built, heavily inlaid on the sides and the back, neck heel, and so far we have the peghead face. And the next step is to actually get the fretboard glued on. In a previous episode, we took a square board and turned it into this, a profiled ebony fretboard with the fret slots cut. Follow me as I show you the next steps. The ultimate goal is to have that inner ring of pearl inlay and the binding installed on this fretboard. We're going to use the purfling tool initially to score the marks of the wood that we need to take out so we can make a little ledge for the pearl to sit down in. We're going to go all the way around the fretboard, scoring every line. Purfling tool is actually a blade and a stop that's a fiddle tool, a violin tool that's used to install purfling. So once we're done, then we'll have a close-up of those score marks. That's the wood, two versions there, two sides. That's the wood we want to take out. We're going to take a razor knife, an X-Acto knife, and just ease more and more deeper into the score lines, and then carve a little away and keep picking and poking away at it, and eventually we'll have a ledge cut out in there for the pearl to fit in, just like that. However, that's not enough. Of course, we've got to go all the way around the mandolin, so we'll sit back down there and take us a couple hours and carve it out till it looks like this, all the way around. All the way around. It's a hand-carved channel. We're going to take a square file and just kind of clean everything up and make sure the edges are straight. And now it's time to cut the pearl. The pearl, we're going to take one flat edge of pearl and then mark it and saw it out. See if we can get a shot there where you can see the mark on it. Yeah, vaguely, yeah. You can see the mark, saw that out, and then we'll have a strip with one good flat side and one sort of sawn mark side. Like that right there. And it's time to put it in, spread a little glue. Now you'll notice that we're starting right in the middle of the fretboard. It doesn't matter because we're going to break this pearl everywhere where a fret slot is. So we'll just cut random pieces of pearl and fit them in wherever they seem to fit best. It'll kind of make itself clear here in a minute. Just like that. Now here's a series of shots where we just added the pearl on in pieces and pieces, the appropriate size piece. I will get a piece to fit here and a piece to fit there until we are done. Now we still have to put the frets through there. So it's time to clean those pieces of pearl, saw them out where they butt each other up, clean it out very, very gently. The frets are actually, the tang of the fret that fits down into the wood is actually wider than the pearl and will destroy the pearl if you don't clean it up. Those little dots that are down the side are actually raised bumps. So we're going to take a Dremel tool with a dentist, teeny tiny dentist drill bit, and clean those fret, or actually widen the slot just enough so that when the fret goes in, the head of the fret will cover that up and everything will look really good. It is now time for the binding. Yes, indeed, that is an old-timey oil lamp. That's how I heat the binding ends. Get it fired up here, and believe it or not, stick a piece of binding down inside the globe, and it will heat up and become soft and flexible enough to bend and shape. There we go. When we are done, it will look something like this. Mostly shaped, ready to glue on. We do that on this upcoming jig right here. That's a homemade jig. And the binding, we'll just spread a little glue on the binding. I use super glue. Fit the fretboard in the jig. This jig is designed to kind of hold everything level and in place where you want it. And then start the clamping procedure. Those are Destaco clamps. Wonderful little tools. Those are the homemade part of the clamp, which is just some wooden funny shaped dowel rods with wing nuts. I push everything together, making sure everything is lined up and exactly where we want it. And that's what we have. 1/2 the treble side of the fretboard binding is glued on. Comes out of the fretboard, or it comes out of the gluing jig, and needs to be trimmed up, almost like magic there, wasn't it? And then the base side gets to be done. Not much left to do on it really, except to do the position markers on the side, and that will come up here in a few seconds, just as soon as we get that glued. Give it plenty of time to dry. Then we will set up the drill press with a fence and the appropriate size drill bit, and where the position markers would normally be. Then we just drill a teeny tiny hole right there in the side of the fretboard binding. Have a bunch of little holes, and we have to fill those holes in. We're going to do that with that little thing there in my left hand is actually a round black plastic rod, the appropriate size. Put a little glue out on a piece of glass and then just dip the end of the rod in and shove it in the hole. Have a long piece of rod hanging out. We'll trim off most of that. And then we'll just take us a little wooden block and push it in flush. By the time we do all of them, we'll have maybe a little bit there that needs to be trimmed off, cleaned up. I usually like to take a piece of sandpaper and just kind of clean everything up. Here we go. And that fretboard at this point is, in my opinion, pretty much ready to glue on. And now this fretboard is ready to glue on. Join us in the next episode for the final preparations that will have to be taken so this mandolin will be ready to have the fretboard glued to it. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.